Welcome to the Get Your Act Together podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds. And today I want to talk to you about something that is super hard. And that is getting out of the day-to-day management of your business. I hear this get talked about constantly. I talk about it constantly. A good majority of the guests we've had on in the last 6 months talk about it. It is a big thing when we are talking about running the business, is getting out of the day-to-day. And what I mean is answering every question, paying every bill, knowing what's going on, being in the middle, creating all the task lists in your project management software, like being in the day-to-day operational management of your business. If you are a non-ops person, most of you will not like to be there. So that's a hard thing for you to do, is like getting out of it, but having someone to trust. If you are an ops person, you may love being there, and then you are going to have a hard time getting out of that when you really want to stay in so that you can do other things. So I wanted to talk to you about it today because, well, I like to be upfront and honest with you guys, and I run into the issues and the hardships of getting out of the day-to-day just like you do. I talk about delegation, I talk about agencies, I talk about systems, I talk about all of this stuff, right? And it's still hard for me. So I figured that I would show you how it's hard for me and how I've gotten really good in certain places of my business and how other parts of my business are still hard to deal with it. So I don't know, inspiration and make you feel better if you haven't figured it out yourself yet. So many people will tell you that you have to get out of the day-to-day management completely in order to be legit as an agency, legit in general. I feel like, especially at a small business level, like an ultra micro business, like 5 people, somewhere in that range, that getting out of that completely usually means someone's abdicating the responsibilities of running their company. At that level, people, you are the most wrapped up in your business. You are the one who loves your business the most. You have the most drive to make it successful. So handing it over to one other person to run usually ends in disaster, because there's this idea that you have to just be out and not worry about it. And someone will tell you something happens. And that's when no one's checking. And that's when things break or people steal, right? Or they're messing up and no one's catching any of that because there's no checks and balances. So when I say I want to help get out of the day-to-day management, help you get out of the day-to-day management, I don't mean abdicate everything, let someone else deal with it, and then find out 5 years later that they've been stealing from you, or your clients are getting really crappy care, or your products aren't being produced well enough because you haven't been there. What I mean by this, getting out of the day-to-day, is that the operational day-to-day is now processed out, organized, and repeatable in a way that someone else can do it, so that you then can keep tabs on what's going on in your business. And then you can go do other things that you need to do, whether that's marketing, whether that's speaking, whether that's going on vacation with your family without a computer, right? Whatever those things are, I want you to think of this as building your business so that you could leave on vacation for a month and the whole thing will not break, that you could sell your business and it will be a sellable product because you are not required to be there anymore. It doesn't mean that you just drop everything and all responsibility. What I'm saying is taking your business, processing things out, making sure that someone else can do the work, but still knowing what's going on in your business, okay? So let's focus here on getting your business to a place where you can hand it over, either for a week or forever, because your systems, your processes are so dialed in and buttoned up, so prepared to have someone else come in and take care of it, that you're going to be all right. You're going to be able to get sick or go on vacation or sell, okay? This is where I run into problems, and this is why it's hard for me. So over the years, Reynolds OBM we run really lean. I like to spend my money on my family, taking money out to pay myself well. I also like to pay my people well. So anyone who works for me, I like to pay them well. I don't like to skimp on that. And that is why you end up with really good people that do a really good job that you can then kind of let them do their jobs. And then it becomes much more self-sufficient. That's my theory on it. Take care of your people, they will take care of you. Now, that means that a lot of the internal running of Reynolds OBM over the years has been me. I've had help here or there. My husband, Brian, has been doing, obviously, the podcast, but he's also helping with a lot of the media. So the videos, the posting on YouTube, making clips, that kind of thing. That is not my wheelhouse at all. Zone of genius, it is not. I can do some of that stuff. I could if I had to, but I don't want to. And he's so much better at it than I am, so he's been an enormous help here. But other than that, like the internal stuff, the bookkeeping, because I've done that for other people, I can easily do it for myself. Does it take time? Yeah, but that's not a place I wanted to spend money lately. I have made conscious decisions to keep a lot of the basic admin in-house, meaning me, because that's what I do for a living with other people. I know how to do it. I'm really good at it. I can set systems up really simply. I can keep things organized. Plus, I love making color-coded Airtable spreadsheets or databases because they're fun. I love it. That's fine. But that also means that when I am starting to look at doing other things, I still get bogged down in things. So this is a place where I have had difficulty over the years handing things over. My difficulty has always been, and I think this is a difficulty with a lot of people's, handing things over, is people are touching my stuff. I don't like it. And then the trust factor. I have wonderful people working for me, and I've had not so wonderful people working for me over the years. We've tried things. They weren't a great fit for whatever it is. I wanted them to do something, and that wasn't their strong point, whatever it was. I am a manager that likes to have really good people that take care of their stuff, and I'm not a micromanager at all. I feel bad that I don't check in enough just because I like to see people's faces once in a while. When things start to fall through the cracks, I have a huge trust issue, and I will forget it, I'm out. And then I say, I'll do it myself. And this is classic. This is super, super classic. Everyone does this. Everyone says, I don't trust you. I'm going to do it myself. It'll be faster. It'll be easier. That is usually not true. And even here, I have made the conscious decision to keep this in-house I'm putting money in other places right now. And because I'm good at this, I'm keeping it. Could I move it out? Yeah. Should I have at least redundancies in my business so that things will run if I got sick? Yes. But this is one of the hardest places for me. Yeah, it just is. So if that is hard for you, just know that it's hard and you kind of have to keep working on that and keep building slowly. I have wonderful people on my team. I will say this 1 billion times probably in this podcast because I love them. When you have people you trust, and you can start slowly. I didn't know on day one they were going to be awesome. I hope they will be, but they're not all awesome. Not all of my hires have been oh my God, they're the greatest. Some of them drop the ball a bunch. So knowing that, you have to kind of give away things slowly, give them specific instructions, get the feedback. Are they confused? Do they know what's going on? All of that kind of stuff to be able to give it away and trust and give it away and trust. And you build that trust over time. I delegate super slow. I know people will hire, throw a bunch of work at someone, and then see if they sink or swim. I don't have the fortitude to do that. I worry too much. I can't do it. I like to do that slowly, building over time. If that's you, it's okay. Just keep moving forward. Just keep trying to delegate. Okay? The other thing that I have had a huge hard time delegating and giving up that day-to-day of are the legacy clients that I started with back in 2016. I have had my first 3 clients are still clients today. Well, I just handed one off actually, but they have stayed with me forever. We've long-term clients. They have worked with my team now. But there was one client, and that is this, if you've been here for more than a minute, you've heard me talk about our largest client last year sold their business. And that is the one that was the hardest to give up. To the last day, We've handed over everything in February, a little delayed. It's a couple months delayed, kind of some things on their side. So it's super hard when that is your client. And other people have said this last week on the podcast. Stephanie said this as well. Like those legacy clients that were yours, it's so much harder to give away. The new clients coming in, you kind of have that system ready. You know what's going on. You're going to hand that off. This person's going to be the contact. Like what? The new ones are easier. But the older ones are hard. And this was a client I started with in November of 2016. That's a long time ago. It's 2023. It's a long time ago. And I had almost given up the day-to-day management of that because that's what we do, right? But I was trying to get out of it. I was trying to manage more and not manage my team doing it more and getting out of it. And last May, I had almost done it. I was super excited. I was so proud of myself. I had SOP'd the hell out of this. We had processes. I could check things. I knew there were checks and balances, so I could see if something was going wrong before anything really happened. It was great. And then they were selling it. And then everything went crazy because there's no way to process out due diligence and a handover. You can process out a lot, but every day was a new challenge. And there was an enormous amount of work. And this is the first time we'd ever had to go through a due diligence of that kind of size. So I was right back in the middle of it. I think I had a week where I was like, yes, I have got this done. My team is on it. And I had given an enormous amount over to my team. But there was still things that I felt like I needed to handle. There was HR stuff that we needed to handle. There were kind of mundane things, but really important things like paying bills. You don't just want to give that to a new team member. Like, here you go. Here's somebody's bank account. Go pay some bills. Why don't you pay yourself? Like, you need to trust the people that you're giving these things away to. So there were people on my team like Gwen, who's fantastic, who took over an enormous chunk of what I was doing there. And I've had other people working on that account as well over the years. It was never just me. Well, it was me in the beginning. And now it has not been just me in a while. And I've got slowly trying to get out, but that was the hardest one. It's hard because I am the face on it. I am the contact. So if you are trying to get out of that day-to-day of management of a client because you're growing an agency or you're growing a team, whatever, and you're finding it hard, well, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. You're going to learn a ton. It's going to be hard on first to be able to kind of show that client that there's a new paradigm going on, that there's like this new model, like, hey, I'm not the only person here. And sometimes that's going to be great. Sometimes that's going to be wonderful. Like I have another client who's thrilled that I have help because I'm only one person and he needs things really quickly. So having more than one person to help means he gets work done faster. He loves that. So there's going to be people that love it. And then there's going to be people like, I only want to talk to Kelly. And that is much easier when you bring on new clients because you're like, no, that's how we work. But for older clients that always got you, it's harder to do that shift. They seem a lot easier to make the shift than I was, to be honest. They were fine with me moving, like bringing in other help. They were great with it. Most of my clients have been like, fantastic. I'm going to get more help. Awesome. I'm paying the same rate and getting more coverage. Awesome. It's me that was like, but oh no, I should take that. Oh no, I should handle that. Oh no, I should do that. It was me that had the problem, not the clients, which I think a lot of us do. Like we go through this thing where we think the clients don't want to work with an agency, but instead it's really us because they're super thrilled they're getting more help. So I have had a hard time getting out of the day-to-day of Reynolds OBM. Look, it's not a ton going on here. We are really lean. We do the same thing. We know what's going on. We are doing the same thing internally that we're doing for the clients. So we're really good at it at this point. It's not like it's a lot, but still it's the point. I should be able to do that. And then this getting out of clients, the day-to-day. So this last client was still my baby. And then when they sold it, I was like the one who knew all the things. So then I had to be there. I had to answer a million questions. I was the only one who knew where the passwords were for some random thing that no one had done in 5 years. You know, like all of that kind of weird stuff that like, well, she's been here forever. She probably knows. I I was there longer than the CEO. He left. I was still there answering questions. So now they're gone. We've handed them off to the new company finally. And I think that might have been the only way to get me out of the data, like get me out of it. There's I'm going to totally butcher it. My best friend Megan tells me this all the time from The Departed, when Leo says to the girl, I'm Irish and I'll never leave. You have to leave me. I can't remember the exact thing, but that is what I think of. I'm never going to leave. I'm so stuck in. And you know what? I'm out. I can do it. It had to be this way. I feel like the universe that business had to get sold just so I could get out of it. Because I had such pride in the work that we did, and we had been so ingrained in that company for so long. But they're fine. We've created all the systems, processes. We've handed it all over. They've taken it all on, and they're happy. So job well done. So now what does that mean? That means that I get to do a whole bunch of other stuff with my time. And I want this to be inspiration for you because, yes, I'm telling you that it's hard, but I'm also going to tell you that you need to do it. You need to do this. You need to have systems in place and processes in place so that you can get out. Please go on vacation. Go on vacation. Take some days off. I never wanted to. I'm always like, oh, no, I got to be there. No, I don't. I don't have to be there. So now that the biggest workload for me the last 8 months, 10 months was this client. I don't have this client anymore. What do I do with all my time? My time has now been spent learning how to market. Up until now, we have not needed to market. Actually, probably don't need to now, if I'm being honest, but it to stay where we are. We have clients. People find me from my networks or the podcasts I've been on, and we're fine. But I want to grow. I want to grow this year. And that is going to mean doing some marketing. I want to grow and I want to be sustainable. So I want to be able to have more of a pipeline instead of this kind of random referral long-term client. Maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't. Something that's sustainable that has a marketing presence, a branding presence so that we can move forward. And it is not just on me. It's not just my face. It's not just me on calls every day. It's not just me talking one-on-one to clients. So what my plan was, we were supposed to hand it over the old client to the new company the end of the year. And then I had planned for the first 3 months, Q1, to be all about R&D for marketing. We were going to learn a lot about marketing in ways that made me want to throw up. I wanted to throw up. It's super uncomfortable. What were we going to do? What did I want to do? What kind of things were uncomfortable, but I was going to have to get over? What were other things where I'm like, I'm not doing that because that's totally out of alignment with my, ethics, or I just don't like that. There's a lot of different ways to market and to do sales out there. And there's some real shady ones and just some ones that just don't feel good. So I wanted to learn about different kinds and then be able to make strategic decisions about how we were going to run this company. If you've listened to this podcast or know me at all, you will know I am blunt and honest and upfront, almost to a fault. And I don't want to start being shady now because I am marketing more. So that was a big thing for me. We have been working on clips from this podcast. So what we've been doing a lot has been recording this podcast, then recording it obviously on video. If you're into YouTube, you see my smiling face, then taking clips out of those, posting those on social, and the podcast being much more of a content driver, either with clips or emails or whatever that is for the week. So being able to take that and start posting and then branding those videos so that when you go out there, people are seeing our brand, seeing the podcast, seeing my face, seeing our guest's face, and then having guests on to be able to also share to their networks. So they're sharing, they're getting more posts, likes, or views because I'm getting out into other people's networks. I also booked a lot of guests based on what I wanted to learn. When I would get an application. You can apply to be on the podcast. So I would get the information from someone and I would be like, oh, I totally want to learn that. Or, I really want to like figure out how that is, like non-yucky social media with Laura Sinclair. I was totally down with that. Or building websites with James, or even like Brandon was like total sales. And I wanted to learn how he could do that without being yucky. So I wanted to bring on people so I could learn more. And I was hoping that you would learn more too. So I hope you have been enjoying the guest episodes as well. There will be many more. I like learning new things. We have been trying to put together much more like the process around things, like trying things and then trying to build processes around those so that we can make them repeatable. We can make them more efficient. Figuring out how to make the clips, learn the software, which software we're going to use. So like you end up like taking 5 steps back, like, oh, we're going to make a clip. How are we going to make that clip? What software are we going to use? What logo are we going to use? What are we going to put captions on them? Like, then you have to go, okay, well, if we're recording the podcast, what camera are we using? Because I had like a webcam, it was like an HD webcam, and it makes everything look real white. So I look like I'm got the flu at all times. My laptop has a camera, but that didn't have high enough resolution. So then we were, trying to clip things and make like, shorten them up, zoom in, I guess you'd say. And I looked fuzzy and awful. We also learned that if I'm wearing a black turtleneck in front of my microphone, the cameras will all focus on the microphone, not my face. Did an entire podcast like that, didn't know. So these are all these little things that we've been learning. I am currently recording this on our brand new iMac, which is beautiful. It is also totally scary to use because I'm a PC girl all the way. I have no idea. I have an iPhone, don't know how to use a Mac whatsoever. Brian just left for an appointment and I had to figure out how to turn the thing on by myself. I literally had to Google how to turn an iMac on because I had no idea. Because this is the first time I'm really using it. And it's got like a fancy this and a fancy that, and I don't know where all the things, and there's icons all at the bottom of Apple things, and I don't know why, because they just seem distracting, and I don't know how anyone who has ADHD does anything on a Mac. These are the things I'm learning. I'm learning how to use a Mac. We are learning how to do a lot more video editing. We are exploring what other kind of content we want to create. We started really doing the clips because we're already doing the podcast, but what else are we going to be doing? How does YouTube work? Because that's a whole another thing. We have a YouTube channel now. We have well over 150 videos, which are mostly from the podcast at this point, because that was a way to have consistent content, practice things, learn what works. Like clips, do clips work or do shorts work? And do we have to do vertical or horizontal? Like all of those little things. So this is what we've been doing. And it's super hard because it's fascinating on like a research way. In the beginning, I had a much harder time with this because I didn't want to. I just didn't want to. I have said 150 times that I'm not a marketing person. But I'm a business owner, so I have to be a marketing person. And I think that a lot of us tell ourselves, oh, we're not going to do marketing. We're just going to hope and pray and sit here and hope that the client gods send clients to us. But I think that is just hiding. I mean, I'm doing it too. This is a lot today. It's a lot of admitting all my faults today on this podcast. But you need to market your business just like I need to. So I'm stepping up and I'm like, okay, if I think of this as more an adventure of all the things I love to learn, because I love learning new software and like tinkering. So I planned for this. I planned for Q1 to be just learning. I put away money so that I would be able to run the business and not have to worry about replacing any kind of income right away. We have other clients. We're fine. But I wasn't worried about growth. Let's put it that way. I wasn't worried about growth for Q1. I was worried about learning so that we could have growth in Q2, 3, and 4. And that's okay. That was an intentional decision I made. And it takes an enormous stress off me. So we have just been learning. We've been learning a lot. And I'm starting to really get into it now. When people start actually clicking likes on your YouTube videos, super exciting, because for a while, nobody cares. There is a month where we made videos. I don't think anyone cared about any video except the person who was in it, who was a guest. And now We're getting people who actually are not just viewing things, but liking things. And the algorithms are starting to be like, oh, all right, now you got some videos. Now we're gonna show your stuff. Now all of a sudden reels are starting to get liked by people I've never heard of, which is the fun thing, right? When your friends do it, you're like, that's great. But when you've never met these people and they're like, oh, all right, that's pretty cool. I feel like we're starting to get traction and we're starting to learn what people like and what we don't. This is fits and starts. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. But now I'm kind of liking it. And now I'm kind of loving it because I'm figuring out strategy and I love the strategy. So the more I'm learning, the more strategy I can honestly put together in my own head instead of just listening to some guru. So if you have been avoiding marketing and only listening to one guru who says you should do this, I really invite you to take some time and say, okay, even though this is not my first love, if I learn about the different ways to do this, then I can make informed decisions for my own company instead of just paying a whole bunch of money for some course that they give you templates that they tell you to use that don't work for you. I've done that. I've had people say, oh, you should use our exact templates. Here is what it is. And I read them and I'm like, ugh. Ugh. If I saw this posted, I would never like this. If I got this email, I would never respond. And I know that I may not be my own best client, but learning about this stuff has made me feel more confident in saying, okay, we can make this decision to not post here, but post here, or to make these kind of videos or not make these videos. And I feel a lot more confident about it. I also created a super, super awesome Airtable database as our content calendar with all the videos that link to the content, that link to the podcast guests, that link to the episodes. Like, it's super cool. And I definitely paid the extra, whatever, $25 a month just for color coding because it's super pretty. Now you can look at the calendar view and everything's color coded and I can see what's happening and I know what's going on and I know what's been posted and what's been approved and all that kind of stuff. And it's awesome. And I have been putting that off because I didn't want to pay the money for Airtable, like the other part, like the extra package. And now I'm all in. Now I'm making pretty things for everything, which is, the way I deal with stress. I found myself making I found myself making a Airtable thing for client testimonials because I was trying to collect a whole bunch of stuff over the years that I put in different places. I built this whole thing out. It's pretty. And that's when I realized I was really stressed out because I was pretending that nothing in the world mattered except this one thing that I had to build right now. So you see the things you get to learn about yourself in your business. So anyway, it's hard. All of this stuff is hard. Business is hard. Figuring out who you are as a person while you go on this journey is hard. Asking questions that are super uncomfortable, hard. And all of it's worth it. The best thing I can do in my business is to be uncomfortable. The best thing I can do is when something terrifies me but excites me at the same time is run toward it. And that is super scary. And that is what I'm doing now. So I feel like there are days when I'm like, nothing's getting done. So I wrote myself a list of all the things that we've done lately. And that's kind of what this podcast, like the second half of this podcast has been. It's like, we did this, this is what we're doing. Because it makes me remember how much we have done. I have whined and complained to my husband that I don't like marketing and in the beginning of this. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of excited about it. I want to learn more. What do I have to do? What do I want to learn about ads? What do I want to learn about funnels? What do I want to learn about different products? What do I want to learn? And when you think of it that way, then it's an adventure. What kind of systems do I need? What can I do? How can I strategically make this better? It's exciting. I am getting really excited. So 2023, I don't know how your 2023 is going. Mine is weird and crazy and a little bit freaking scary, but I'm really excited. And I hope you are too. So I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me this week. If you have an agency or want to create one, come join my Facebook community, Get Your Agency Together, where we talk all the things growing and scaling your agency. For show notes and more info on all the things, head over to reynoldsobm.com. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at ReynoldsOBM. And finally, if you enjoy this podcast, I would love for you to give us a review on iTunes.